Gonna go ahead and start the public hearing number 1.
I thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. You could change that if you'd like. We're gonna start with
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
public hearing number 1 to order, application for medical cannabis store, AstroTurf LLC. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, comments, questions from the board?
This is a former dog room place. They're across from.
Jimmy?
Used to be DE, right?
Yeah, I think it was a pet grooming place.
Yeah, right across from Market Lumber, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Not the big
Not
one.
not the other one, no. Small.
Any other questions, comments? I'll close the public hearing. Begin the selectmen's meeting. Action on the minutes.
Motion to accept.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Have nothing, sir.
Public comment. Lois.
I have a question. We keep talking about the North End Fire Station. Has anybody checked the deed? Because it seems when we tried this once before, and if the fire department is not there, it goes back to whatever that shopping center is. Do you remember, Scott?
That's news tonight.
I wanna say that Bob ended up giving that, selling that to the town for $1. Correct. A few years.
You did? I mean,
Years
we've
ago.
got something that says that, right?
I couldn't put my fingers on it, but I believe we do.
Because we didn't.
Correct.
But I don't know that we're talking about selling or getting rid of it at all. We're just having a conversation about it tonight, I believe.
No, I just read it, so I thought I'd ask before we got going.
Sorry.
Any other public comments? Sir?
You, on this concrete wall for the dump, you haven't got a guarantee here that that's only gonna cost you $77.55. This is only an estimate. And I talked to a couple of engineers, and it says on here that the rebar is gonna be 2 feet grid system. The engineers from Bancroft Contractors are recommending 12 inches, and I looked it up on the computer, and they do the same thing, 12 inches. I think the whole thing should have been tabled for a later discussion, and I think if you backfill it to the top, you're gonna have to put a fence over it. Town of Harrison had to.
Noting this, questions and concerns?
Yep.
Good enough. I don't think we have any answers for you tonight. I certainly don't know anything about rebar. I don't know if anybody else does, but.
Well, I think it should have been tabled, and looked into. Start with, and voted down by the taxpayer to start with.
Any other public comment? Seeing none. Business item 5.1, review approved new application for medical cannabis store, AstroTurf LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion.
And not that it pertains to this, just the question is, didn't we have a limit on how many stores the town would award permits to? Am I wrong? Was there a?
No, originally, but at town meeting, they decided to leave it open.
Okay, yeah, I was just.
There could be an ordinance change to limit the numbers if you wanted to, but right now it's open-ended. I think the comment from the board, if I remember the conversation, was free market, let it work itself out.
And it wasn't a board decision, it was an ordinance decision the townspeople voted on.
The town,
And voted to not set limits. So we would have to go that route to change it too, we couldn't. Well, we might be able to change it, but I wouldn't support changing it, we would have to go to an ordinance change. And I know people have come in and talked about doing that, but they've never followed up. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion? So 5-2, review award class 5 medium duty truck with plow RFP for public works.
So as you can see in your packet, you received 3 bids, one from One Nation Distributing out of Pennsylvania for $118,989. And then we received another from Yankee Ford right here in Maine, $111,302. And then Viking out of, I think it's Lewiston, they submitted a bid for the equipment only for $41,050, but we would have to supply the chassis. The bid was, of course, looking for the chassis and the, all together. So, town meeting, we brought forward $150,000 proposal. Town meeting approved it to raise and appropriate $110,000, and then directed us to get the remaining $40,000 if needed from the highway reserve account or fund. So I did ask Jim to be here so he could speak to the bids and what his recommendation was. Would please?
First of all, we took the wing off the truck because the prices I was getting, it would have never came in with the money we were allotted to buy the truck. So we spec'd it out, redid the bid package for the plow, sander, 1 ton, all the bodies are stainless, 9.5 foot extreme V2 plow, pretty much the same setup as what we have with this truck that we have. Just new, it's stainless.
you said 1 ton, but it's a 550.
It's a 550. We said, I'm sorry, if I said 1 ton, but it's a mid-sized truck, they call it, I guess. The bid out of Pennsylvania kind of caught my eye because it's a 21-day turnaround, but they didn't include the sander with their bid price. Yankee Ford was, I think, 111, 112, right around there. That's complete. The only issue is it's 4 to 6 months out. I personally don't mind waiting to save that much money. So we will make it so we can get by this winter with the truck we have. And wait for the, hopefully not 6, but 4 months minimum for the new truck. That would be my recommendation.
Anything else, Jim?
No, I'm encouraged by $111,302. I mean, that's actually very close to what was raised and appropriated without having to use much from the reserve, so.
Make a motion to go with Yankee Ford for $111,302. And with the Viking plow at $41,050.
Excuse me, let me interrupt.
No.
Whoa,
The Yankee bid is complete package.
100%.
Oh.
Sand, everything.
oh,
So when it gets here, we can just jump in and plow with it.
well, I think that would be the way to go then. Why don't we forget that last comment I made?
I will second it with forgetting the last comment.
Good. Nice move.
Motion and second discussion. I got some questions on the Viking bid.
Sure.
Is that something that could potentially save us money in the future going that route? I know it depends on where you're gonna get a chassis from and then how much it's gonna cost to put all this stuff on it.
Right. As far as a medium-sized truck, I'm not sure it would, because Viking will do that. But they are into like our wheelers and stuff like that is what they really build, and that 3 out of the 5 of our trucks have Viking plow gear on them now. And the biggest reason is they was low bid, and they're 40 minutes away instead of 2.5 hours away. And it's been really good equipment, we've had no trouble with it, but yes, potentially, yes.
If you got a good price on a chassis at Ripley and Fletcher.
Right.
Viking would put all that equipment on
They
and
would.
be ready to go.
Right.
I can safely say you're not gonna buy a cabin chassis and be under 118, adding it to 41,000. What's that number? You'd have to be at 70,000? I'd be surprised if you bought a 550 cabin chassis for 70 grand. We could be wrong, but and so you still need a plow, you still need a sander on that too. But
And a dump body, and
it comes with a plow and dump body. That was Viking. Plow and dump body, no sander, no cabin chassis.
okay.
So you needed $12,000 sander and a cabin chassis to go with that dump body and plow. And I know what you're saying, Dan. I thought the same thing, but I just bought it. 55
I
grand.
mean, I even
I'd be surprised.
took it upon myself, just call around, thinking about the 21-day turnaround in Pennsylvania, to just maybe ask you to buy a hopper local. But, like he just said, that $10,000 or $12,000, and you add that to the already 118, whatever it was, it's like, no, I'll wait.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the purchase? Let's vote.
Thank you.
5.3, review, accept cops hiring program grant.
All right, so the police department, specifically the police chief and the captain, had a discussion a while back with the police chief about, look, see if you can find some grants, see if you can find some ways to help fund positions and so forth. So they found the cops hiring program grant, which offers $125,000 towards the funding of a police officer for 4 years. We have to use the $125,000 over the first 3 years and then fully fund the 4th year of that position. The grant, we have to expend all the funds by 2030. We can ask for extensions, it looks like when I read through it. The grant is written primarily for the funding of an SRO, which would require us to send that person to SRO training and so forth if they weren't already certified. And where we're at, I've asked Zach Bisson to come in tonight to help go over some of this stuff, but where we're at with this is that it needs to be, the town needs to agree to accept it and give an answer by the 20th of this month is the deadline, because it was 45 days or 30 days with an receiving.
45 days.
And so with the government shutdown and all that stuff, I know we've been asking questions and we're just getting, sorry, we're on furlough for answers. So it's been a little bit difficult to have 100% of the answers. One of the questions that I asked was, if this position is primarily an SRO, is it broken down percentage-wise? Like, could they be in the school 25% and doing patrol 75%? Is there some sort of a hybrid option there? But we haven't been able to get a solid answer on that question yet because, sorry, we're on furlough. So the captain's here if you want to ask questions and go from there.
I thought that we wasn't gonna do anything with this until another contract. You're saying that this wouldn't take place until then, what are you telling me?
So this, we could, one of the things that we could do here is we could accept the grant, but not fill the position until July 1, pending what happens at town meeting. So if the town meeting doesn't want to provide us, doesn't raise and appropriate the money, then we could just return the grant at that time,
So basically this, we've already been approved for this, we do the paperwork, they'll send us this 125?
Yep, we've been approved, we just have to accept it. They'll send us the 125 over the next 3 years, and it has to be, correct me if I'm wrong, please, it has to be portioned out over that 3 years. Smaller amount, we get the most in the first year, a little bit less the second year, and then a
Yeah,
little bit
it's
less on the third.
called local match progression.
There you go.
It's just we have to take more of the responsibility as the years go. So I originally wrote it for pretty much an even split, approximately $41,000 a year, and it goes down slightly each year. And
town's portion goes up slightly each year. You don't have to use it like that, that's a guideline, but it has to be that progression. So if we accepted, say you wanted to use $100,000 the first year, and obviously the second year, you would have to use $20,000 or whatever, and then the next year would have to be lower than that as well. So it has to be progression that way, for the town to take more responsibility.
But we do have to agree to fund the position for 4 years total.
We have an obligation to, for 12 months after the life of the grant, to keep the position on. So the 3-year turns into a 4-year obligation.
Are we down an officer now?
We have 2 positions that aren't filled.
And currently, we're at budget with the 2 positions not filled.
Certainly trying our darndest, yes, yep. Right, because of the increase, because of the contract brought us so that we're right up to the line, yeah.
Which is why we did a 1-year contract.
Yeah, yeah.
Explain to me what the project budget summary page is.
Do you want to go over that?
Yep. So you have it right in front of you?
Yes.
I'm not sure which page, you can't really number here. If you go to where local match details are, the local match progression table, you'll see that at the bottom of one of the pages here. It's in one of the packets you should have. It'll show the breakdown of the cost of what our estimation of an officer would cost per year. And then, of course, benefits are also included in that, but then you have the federal share and the local match. So local match will be the top line. For example, first year, $61,000 would cost the town, federal share would be $42,208. And then it progresses down slightly, $64,000 to the town, $41,900 to the federal share, and then $66,000 and then $40,000. Again, those numbers can be played around with, it's not set in stone. We can deviate to these
Yeah, I
specific
apologize.
projects.
Let me see if I can get to that.
Sure. I can provide you my copy quickly if you want to see it at all.
Maybe make sure we're on the same
I think
page.
it's on
Yeah.
the first
Fortunately,
page,
they
that
don't
actually
match
says
it.
project budget summary on the top.
This one.
2.
So it'll be in the actual grant application, which would be the top of the page, or the first page says standard application information.
The first page, this term signed is.
Yep. Project budget.
Is where mine is.
Yep, total cost, 311,772. Yep. That page?
I think
That's the page, yep.
Okay.
If you look down at the bottom where it says local match progression table.
Yep.
So that's where it explains how we got to take more of the portion on per year.
Right.
It does say in there that we can deviate from what I had originally put in there for, basically placeholders. The way I wrote it is just to try to even it out as much as I could. But the town can decide to take on, more of the money upfront, but then, of course, the money gets exhausted after $125,000. So if you look at the next page after that, it breaks down those numbers right there. So you have local match, federal share. You can see the columns they've cut off. It's year 1, year 2, year 3, and then year 4, or total, I believe.
And you don't think this will make any difference whether we use it next year or this year?
If we use it on July 1, I mean,
We have till September 30th, 2026 to hire.
correct. The match, we have to come up with the money. I think, if we're going to move forward with this grant, I don't feel like we have the money to move forward with it today. I think we have to wait till town meeting in order to, move forward.
I mean, that would be the only way that I'd be interested in it, is that if we did it, after, the new contract or whatever we end up with.
We'd have to settle the new contract, go to town meeting, and if town meeting approved raise and appropriate the funds,
Then we'd use it.
then we can use it. And when I read through that, we have until September of 2030 to expend all the funds, but if we still haven't expended all the funds, we can apply for an extension. I don't remember how long the extension was, but it was another year or something.
They are flexible. I know that we didn't exhaust our last one. We've done this before. We didn't exhaust our last one in the allotted time, and they were still flexible enough to let us draw the rest of that money down.
Yeah.
So they're usually pretty decent about it, as long as you have an open line of communication with them.
Yeah, the last one you folks did, I think, was when Butch was the manager here.
It was 2020.
Yeah.
That's how we originally funded our last school resource officer.
I was gonna say, last time this was over an SRO.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to town meeting in June and appropriating the portion for this year. You're committing to doing that every year for 3 years and the full amount before everybody, there's no backing out. There's no, if you do the grant and you start taking the money, you can't stop. You've got to come up with the money. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. That, you know, when times where everybody's complaining about their taxes going up, they're committing a substantial amount of money 3-4 years ahead by accepting this grant. I'm not against the grant. It's great that we can get money like this, but $125,000, an average salary of a patrolman in the town of Oxford with full benefits, the town manager has $120,000. So it's not even that full grant, it's barely paying for 1 year out of 4 years.
Right,
Just so everybody's aware.
which we don't have the money for currently.
We absolutely don't have it right now. I don't wanna put you on the spot, Captain Beeson, but, in your opinion, if you were in charge, you were gonna hire a patrolman, you hiring a patrolman to do patrol work, detective work, or you're hiring an SRO?
With this position right here,
Regardless of the grant, where do you need another body, considering we don't have an SRO right now?
I mean, they all have their value. The school resource officer was invaluable to us with the school. They loved them. They loved having us there. They were a liaison to us with the parents, the school, the children. And we're also lacking in an investigator. You know, we have a pretty heavy caseload, and especially as of late, and we're running really dry right now. So, I mean, I see value everywhere. I hate to just say I need this or that. We have looked at the possibility, and I've reached out to, the federal government on this grant to see if, we wrote it for the school resource officer. There's stipulations on how, what we could ask for. And school resource officer at the time was the one that we were kind of looking at having to replace, or try to fund. And, I have questions out there to them about possibility of seeing if that school resource officer could possibly split time and take on some of the burden of some of the investigations. Due to the furlough, they are not responding to anything. I get automatic replies, and that's where we're at. We got issued this grant, the shutdown was in effect, but they were able to push it out just because there's deadlines they need to meet. So any questions I've been unable to verify. I was trying to get that information for today because we are trying to at least, for the time being, at least until, town meeting, we were anticipating possibly trying to get this to be a hybrid position to help alleviate pressure in both areas.
Okay. If the grant was accepted and we decide to not go forward from town meeting, there's no penalty, you just send them a check back or whatever, if they've even sent us money by then.
Right, if we haven't spent any money, when I look through the conditions, and please correct me if you disagree, but when I look through the conditions, it looks like if we haven't spent any money, that we can petition them to cancel the grant. And there's no financial penalty or any of that kind of stuff. Where we could run into financial penalty is if we were like a year and a half in, and then we decided to withdraw and get expended funds, we could be penalized then, potentially have to pay the difference. So,
They don't front any money on this grant, it's pretty much we request reimbursement after funds are used. So there wouldn't be any funds used, until we request it. And that would generally be after they're spent.
yeah, because with the last one, we were applying at the end of the year for reimbursement, so.
It's the board's pleasure.
I guess personally, I'd like to see a school resource officer back. I would say that I'd be in favor of approving the, accepting of the grant and see what the townspeople want to do at town meeting. If we have that time frame after town meeting, if they vote down there, worst comes to worst, we say, sorry, but we don't want to.
I agree with that. I've heard several people bring up the fact that they are unhappy that there isn't an SRO at the moment. But let's go out with what he says. Bring it to town meeting.
Let the people decide.
Got a motion? Scott?
Yeah, I'll make that
Your
motion.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor? So, good work on securing that.
Thank you.
North End Fire Station discussion, and the fire chief, right into department head report. So,
At the last meeting, you asked about the status of the Northern Fire Station, so I asked the fire chief to come and give us a rundown on that, please.
It's really short and sweet, really. It's been closed since I arrived. There's been no fire apparatus since I've arrived. And that, from my understanding, was due to the fact that we were downsizing our apparatus, which I did take part in at the beginning of my tenure, I guess. And then the other aspect of it is the building is in disrepair and the heating system was broken. And due to the cost to fix the heating system, it's basically cold storage for the town. So Public Works, PD, us, rec, we all, water resource, we all store stuff in it. So right now it's trailers, ATVs, street sweeper, repoed cars, stuff like that, or I don't know, evidence, whatever PD has to store there. That kind of stuff is what's there right now. You can see the sky through areas of the roof. And so if we did fix the heating system, you'd have to do a lot of work on the building. Over time, it's the structure, the cement and stuff has broke down by the overhead doors and it's been repaired repeatedly. And around the overhead doors, no matter how many times you fix the concrete, it's just breaking down and there's, it's not a weather tight building. So right now it's basically cold storage for the town and it has been since I arrived. Questions on it?
Do we need it?
Cold storage.
We definitely need it for storage because all the departments, like right now, we're all moving different vehicles around to fit what we need to store in there. I had rewatched the board meeting from last month and I had heard some questions on ISO ratings. Are you all familiar with it or do you want me to give you a breakdown of what ISO is?
Give us a breakdown.
Okay, so ISO stands for Insurance Service Office. It's a private entity that basically rates fire departments. You earn a 1 to 10 ranking, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. There's 3 categories and it's based on a 100-point system. So 10 points is based on communication. So we have no part of that. That's our dispatch center. 40 points is water supply. And then 50 points is all just based on us, the fire department. So what apparatus we have, what we have for staffing, and what we do for training. And within that category, there's smaller categories that you can max out on points. Basically, it's a rubric. And I know that people were concerned that this is part of ISO. So how ISO works is a lot of mileage radius in that water supply. This would matter if we didn't have Norway and Paris, because Norway and Paris fire stations are within 5 miles of the town line right here. They count as a station towards that rating. So this station doesn't matter for that rating. And I did speak to our ISO rep because we are up for reevaluation this year. And as soon as the mini pump arrives, he'll be here to do our reeval. I did some digging on the history. The last time we were evaluated was just over 60 years ago, and our department was not able to give training records, so we got 0 points in the training section. We also had lesser staffing at that point. We had only 2 people on the weekends, and we didn't have overnight coverage staying at the station. And he said with us being able to provide training records this time and with our full-time staffing, there's also a difference between per diem and full-time because of training requirements for them. That will kick us up a lot in points. So it doesn't take effect. The other thing I did is I reached out to some homeowners insurance companies and I had provided the manager some of the documentation, but I called them and they said, "What's ISO?" And I explained to them what it was, and they said, "Yeah, we don't use that." And I said, "Okay, could you give that to me in writing?" And they double checked with their underwriters and stuff like that, who won't talk to the public. They won't talk to me. They have to kind of do it within. And they felt comfortable sending me an email saying, "We don't use ISO for our insurance." And, it was they were very well-known agencies that I made sure people within the town very much use. So anyways.
So I've had one person, right, that I've asked around and nobody else has really said anything, but I had one person say that PC rating went from a 5 to an 8 because North Station's closed. Now, equivalent, I think that he had said that the premium only went up like $200. So I don't wanna make light of $200, don't get me wrong, but it's not like
Yeah.
$1,000 or.
Yeah, and it definitely depends on whether you're residential or commercial is the other thing. Like if you're, commercial property, probably they would take that into consideration more. Like I said, I just asked them, do you guys use this? If you use it, at what percentage do you rely on this number? The other thing is the classes, like I did some research about areas around us, like there's only one ISO department, ISO class 1 in the state, and it's South Portland. All the other ones, all the other cities are not there. They're usually out of 3, like Auburn is documented out of 3 because they have rural areas just like we do. So there's also sometimes it's a 2-part class. So you can have your rural and then your hydrant district, just like we have here. So that's our average. Our last documentation that I found, it was a 7 and a 9. So hydrant 7, non-hydrant 9. And then depending on where you look, you see a different number, and insurance companies give different numbers. But, like I said, I think our last designation also wasn't accurate of what we'll have this time, because we're replacing the mini pumper is a 1,500 gallon per minute pump, and that was replacing an 81 gallon per minute pump. So that's an increase. Our staffing's an increase. We'll be able to provide training records where we took a big 0 before. So I don't see it going down. And I specifically asked about that station. Can you do some quick math with me while we're on the phone and see if that takes into effect? And he said, "Well, are there any fire departments within 5 miles of there?" And I said, "Well, yeah, 2. And he said, "Okay, great. Then it doesn't matter." So.
Well, even if we're gonna keep it for cold storage, and you say you can look out through and see the sun coming in, should we be doing something with that?
I think it would be good to seal up the building. I don't know that it makes any sense to fix the heating system and keep it as a bathroom facility or any of that kind of stuff if it's just gonna be cold storage, so.
Yeah, that hasn't been on.
The stuff that we've got up there in cold storage, is this stuff we use, or is it just junk and we don't want to
It's
throw
seasonal
away?
stuff. No, it's stuff we use. Like they store their street sweeper. Rec puts their ATV up there in the winter. We put our the one we share with PD up there in the winter on the trailer. Where normal just to get it out of the bays because sometimes we'll get a plow truck that we need to use, in the days instead. So it's all stuff that we need. Water, I don't know exactly what the other trailer is, because it's not ours, but it's water, right?
Wastewater's-
Yeah, wastewater has a trailer in there. Obviously, it's gonna last longer if it's stored, so I think we do need the storage, and I think all of that stuff is fine being, cold. I don't think it needs to be in a
Is
heat.
that a
for-
steel frame building?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, do we roughly know age of it? Ish. I
Oh,
mean,
That was built in
I mean,
I'm 46, so
the, in the,
we'll see
in
what else
the
gets.
it's older
early
than
seventies,
Central.
start of sixties.
It's older than Central.
Built when they had built it.
Yeah, because I remember Glenn, he was on the building committee, and I, somewhere around along, I still have.
I was like, I know it's older than Central.
I still have a
25
blueprint somewhere.
So
Other than that,
Keep it in church.
unless,
Correct.
unless we've got somewhere else we can put all this stuff that's stored there, selling is not really an option. If we're not gonna sell it, it needs to be at least.
yeah, we ought to have water not running to the roof.
And if you guys remember when the previous fire chief was here, we sealed up the roofs or fixed some of that stuff in the end of the building. Another thing that we had to address, that he attempted to address was the concrete slab.
yeah, and it's been fixed many times over the course. You can tell that it's
Yeah.
been attempted to be fixed multiple times.
Cause it's right where
Overhead doors,
where
yeah.
the bay doors are, if I remember right, it's.
Yeah, and they've tried to adjust the pavement to the concrete, yeah.
So I guess my question is, we all know buildings as they age of maintenance, right? And here we are at something that it's already been fixed once. I'm not saying to sell it, I'm just saying, what is the plan? Are we just gonna keep dumping money to repair it
And
every
we-
5 years or?
And we haven't budgeted anything.
Correct.
So right now, I'd assume we would be pulling from the public safety budget that the police and fire share for the public safety building, and that is pretty bare bones within itself, and we're trying to play catch up there. So if we're gonna do something about it, I think we need to think about setting aside
Well,
money
and I
not
guess
from
that's the
within
whole
that
purpose
current
of
budget.
bringing this up is, let's start talking about the future. Like, let's start, if this is something that's needs repair, I mean, yeah, we don't have the money right now, but is this something we need to start thinking about for this coming budget season?
Yeah, and we're talking about cause we're trying to figure out how are we gonna fit all the stuff we need to fit in there for winter. So we're already like, okay, you put this in first.
Right.
Now I'll push this as much as we can, and now let me then we can fit the street sweeper. Then maybe in front of that we can, so it's definitely, even for cold storage, it's very small for the need.
Cause that is one thing that we do lack. I mean, at the sewer department, they don't have a bay to put things in. The highway department certainly doesn't have outside storage. I mean, they're having to park their trucks outside. Police and fire, they obviously have their bays, but they're working bays, so it's hard to really store things in any of those, so it is important to have storage.
And the other thing too is about North End too there, I remember when I was on the department for a long time, is that we used to go up there and show that roof because it wouldn't melt. So it was a crew that of us would end up maintaining, going up there too, so I mean, probably over time, things are worn out there on the roof itself. Yeah, so.
So we need a plan on budgeting some money to get it repaired to where it needs to be.
Would it be fair enough to ask if we start getting some estimates? So we know what we're looking at to repair it to at least the weather type,
Sure.
and then maybe follow up with a discussion once we have it.
It'd be a heck of an idea.
I think maybe an easy way to go about that is that the chief and I will make sure we have estimates on that stuff so that when budgets are presented, it can be a budget item that's discussed and looked at as a capital item potentially. I guess my biggest concern about that building, as we said it before, is that floor. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's sinking or what
Yeah.
it's doing, but
There wasn't no proper drainage.
Yeah, I don't know, that's the other thing, is I'm
There's no
afraid that
floor
we're gonna keep putting money into this building when, if the and I don't know if I know engineers cost a lot of money, but I don't know if that's something the town engineer, whoever they could look at, because I'm afraid that the foundation's bad, so if you keep doing all this
Yeah.
stuff, you're not really gonna,
I agree. I
It's gonna be
don't really
losing
wanna
out.
sink a bunch of
yeah,
money into it and the foundation stinks, to be
but
polite.
I'm not a foundation person.
Yeah, nor
How
am
much
I.
land is there?
I believe it's the footprint of the
It's
building,
water mined underneath.
Yeah, it's just,
with the parking space in the front.
There was no proper drainage up there.
I mean, so basically, we are saying that that is nothing but cold storage right now.
yeah, I have never considered it to be
Right.
my building since I arrived, just because we've never had anything there. It's just storage for the town.
So is everybody still able to use that outside water spigot, Ashley?
It was shut off because there was a water break inside at one point, but then it was fixed, so they can still get public. Last I knew, it was still working. I haven't heard anyone saying they can't. But most people come to Central just because the hose, they can get a lot more at one time.
Alright.
But that would get,
Anything
that
else?
had been shut off the last winter, so.
Moving on, department head report. Anything else, chief?
We've been busy with, we had the big trunk or treat event. I think that was really successful. We estimate around 300 kids and families, which was really good. It kind of doubles as our open house as well. We're doing a Toys for Tots, partnering with Rec. So November 20th, we're doing a dinner, basically a takeout Thanksgiving dinner, and instead we're giving it away for free. That's part of the association. And then any toys we collect are going to Rec, because Rec has such a big need this year. The new mini pumper you guys had also asked about last meeting. It has been painted the proper color now. I've been getting some updates on it. All the pieces are there. They're just working on getting them together now. So it exists. If you want to see pictures, I can email them to Adam and he can send them to you guys. Ambulance is on the line. No pictures there to update, but we don't expect that until they think it will be in Maine in February, and then it's usually a couple months before we see it. So you'll still see the yellow loaner around town for a bit. 6 of our 8 full-time spots are full. We only have 2 more left, and that process is now open and closes December 1st. So we're hoping to fill at least, 1 or hopefully both of the last 2 spots.
Questions of the board? Your per diem staff still filling
There.
those 2 spots that are open? You've got
Yes,
people-
hit or miss. There's a lot of agencies around offering a lot of bonuses right now. So money, we're not super competitive, but we still have per diems filling other shifts. But it's been nice that the full timers are obviously receiving benefits, and they have been picking up extra shifts, and we've been right within our budget, and I haven't had to stress like, oh, we can't have any overtime. So we're actually just under, so we're doing okay.
Anything else? Town manager updates. Sure.
All right, so just a quick laundry list of things. We talked about planning. One of the things that looking at is revisiting the comprehensive plan from yesteryear. It's been quite a few years since the town looked at the comprehensive plan or did anything with the comprehensive plan. So I'm glad we're at a point where we can maybe concentrate on that. So what I've done is I've reached out to AvCog. I'm sure everybody's familiar with AvCog. One of the services they provide for our membership dues is helping review and update comprehensive plans. So I'm gonna meet with them next week. I've asked the chairman to join me in that discussion and see what the condition of our plan is in, what we need to do to update it. I'll be frank, is it worth doing the comprehensive plan, or should we just do capital planning? Some of the benefits of comprehensive plans is oftentimes it opens the town up for other potential funding through the state and other grants and so forth. So that's gonna be a conversation next week. Another item is, the last few years, we've done a 5-year capital plan. We're gonna be working with the department heads to expand that to a 10-year capital plan for those capital purchases and projects. So some of the things, obviously, that complements the comprehensive plan, but I think that we need to start getting a plan out there for we talked about the North End Station, are we gonna try and actually replace that building maybe at some point, or build other buildings? So you'll see more of that this budget cycle. Also, voting the other day was pretty impressive turnout, especially for an off year. It was 1,367 voters that voted. And I just want to say to the clerk's office especially, you guys did a great job. A lot more people than expected, but it was a super smooth day, and I didn't have anybody complain to me at all, so it was great. So it was a good day. Also, as a side note, the employee handbook that we approved was a little while ago. There has been some changes to, some updates to some of the laws, specifically like with EPL and some other recommended policies and so forth. So I have been consulting with the town attorney about that. I'm gonna bring those recommendations back to the board. One of the things I was thinking that maybe we would do is maybe have a workshop, like when we were going through it the first time, we workshopped it, which would give the board an opportunity to provide some feedback and so forth, because ultimately it is a board policy that has to be approved. So as soon as I get those updates in hand, I'll probably set up a workshop if the board's good with that, and then we can incorporate that kind of stuff. Also, we talked about consulting with the town attorney regarding some TIF expenses. I have been communicating back and forth with her. We're trying to settle on one of the meetings in December. So as soon as that's set, I'll let you know. Propane tanks, as you can see, those are installed out back and they're hooked up, they're filled with gas, and that's what's running us right now. We have been going back and forth with AmeriGas, the corporate office, regarding the removal of the old tanks and the costs associated with that. And we are not getting a definitive answer as of yet. So we're gonna keep going back and forth. And then on a positive note, the annual employee Christmas party that we usually do is scheduled for Friday, December 19th at 2 p.m. Board is encouraged to make an appearance, of course. And so the office will be closed on Friday, December 19th at 2 p.m. for the last 2 hours of the day. So that is what I've got for you thus far.
Any questions from the board? Selectmen items. I had asked for the Oxford Rec Festival of Trees to be on here. I polled our select board members and the town manager, and we are gonna chip in and enter a tree into the Festival of Trees. So hopefully it'll be a great success. It's weekend after Thanksgiving. Any other selectmen items?
I'm sure you've probably heard about the tree that went down over there on Whittemore Road.
Yeah.
I know it's only been a day, but you guys planning on cleaning up the brush that's left there?
Yes, sir.
There is a considerable pile on both sides.
There. Yes, we will get it. We've been just a little busy at the transfer station.
Go on, I didn't mean it that way.
No, yes, we do. We do plan on putting it up. Actually, it's the other one up on Southtown Farm we're gonna grab.
Something else that I don't know, were you?
No, go ahead.
I interrupted?
No, go
The, I don't know, town has any responsibility in this or not, but I don't know, I get down 26 quite a lot, and you have the guy out there in the middle of the road there by Walmart. And I realize he's out there on his own, but isn't that an accident looking for something to happen?
Is that a question that you could answer, Captain?
I mean, we don't like it, we get a lot of complaints. He's not on private property, so unfortunately we can't move him along. Not a whole lot we can do at this point.
Who owns the road? State road?
Yeah.
So the state, I'm just thinking, you know, maybe he'll stop, but he seems to be pretty consistent. He's out there, the wind and rain. Huh?
He's working harder than himself.
Yes, I get it.
Just
but
on
I
Tennis
just-
Street.
Yeah, I think the
Just
state.
like that.
Huh?
I think the state allows that, actually.
I do know, just for example, Auburn PD, if I remember correctly, this was years ago now, tried to make an ordinance for no panhandling, things like that. I believe that they were told it was illegal on public property. So to tell them they can't do it. So I think they were roadblocked. That's why you're seeing a lot more of that going around, especially in Auburn.
So long as they're not impeding a public way,
Yep.
kind of stuff.
And they've been warned, there was one up by Pizza Hut, Hannaford area, the property owners, sure you remember seeing the guy up by Hannaford. Property owners finally wanted him gone, so that's why you're not seeing him anymore.
I'm just seeing the, somebody come along there and not
Oh, yeah,
pay
right in the middle
attention,
there.
you could run over him pretty quick.
You won't be doing it anymore.
No, he won't be doing that then.
But I thought Alvin Lewis can pass a law about
Hand them an
panhandling.
application like we do down in the city, I'll rip it out and throw it away.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm,
Robinson Hill and Chrisway, just before you, the little corner there, a 15-foot wood will make a hanging there in the tree, is that something you could grab as well?
I didn't see it, but I'll look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Anybody else? No, he wasn't behind. Sign warrants.
Jim, any good hardwood you wanna get rid of, huh? You got it
All
chopped,
been fine.
all fine, huh? That's what I kinda figured would be. Softwood.
Does everything, doesn't it?
he's,
The name's
Yeah, I'm not sure if you just buy it. If I could have done that, if it's okay to do that. It's our fault.
Dual citizenship? Right.
Today is D6.
You're gonna buy them? You're gonna buy them?
These are the Skittles.
Rainbow.
Keeps the colors.
Can't rush a good thing, right?
Like, you sign your name to something, you kinda wanna know what it is, so it's more about it.
Next thing.
Jim, that was what I was gonna talk to you about. 2 years ago, you guys went ahead and did some work on on,
Transfer station.
Staples Ave.
Transfer station.
at the intersection of Brooks. Re-leveled all that off on Staples. You guys think you can come down further down the road?
Make motion to sign warrants 51-256.
Yeah. I mean, if not, I can do it with my excavator, I just wanna know where to put the shit. If you guys are too busy, I can do it with mine.
Oh, yeah.
If we do it, we'll be.
Folks.
I need a roofing company to actually let me know, to get you fitted.
Okay. I don't know if it's gonna be the actual roof, it's the, where it's like.
Oh, you're
It's like-
talking the
It's like
bridge?
the building,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I don't,
bridge.
I don't know, we'll see.